Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sam. I hope you're doing really well. And on this channel, I like to talk about all things film, Blu-ray, film collecting, physical media in general. And today I just wanted to highlight why I think that 1975 is the greatest year of cinema by suggesting my top 5 favourite films from that year. So this video was inspired by a conversation I was having with some friends about what we regarded as the top decade of all time, which I do believe is the 70s, very closely followed by the 1930s. But then it made me think, well, what is the greatest year of all time? And does it belong in the 70s? And in my opinion, it does. It's 1975, and I'm going to give 5 recommendations from that year that sort of demonstrate why 1975 is the greatest year for cinema. So starting off, first pick is a sort of not as talked about classic from one of my favourite filmmakers, but in recent years it's had sort of like a revival, and much more people have been talking about it and revering it. And it's one that's slowly creeping up into being one of my favourites from this director, and I'm talking about Stanley Kubrick's Barry Lyndon. So I don't actually have an individual release for this, but I have it in this box set. So we have Barry Lyndon, and what to say about this film? It is truly one of the most beautifully photographed films of all time. I can't believe how good this film looks. So this film was quite revolutionary in its use of like camera lenses and how it was able to pick up sort of so much detail using only natural light. There's some scenes in this film which are lit by candlelight, and it just looks absolutely gorgeous. And there are many sort of shots in this film that are meant to look like paintings. Truly is a sight to behold, and the story itself is also really compelling. I know some people find this film quite slow and quite a slog to get through, but it is one of those films that really rewards it's one of those films that rewards repeated viewings, and it came out in 1975, which is the greatest year of cinema, and that's one of the reasons why. Next up is a little different. It's a Italian genre film from the master, in my opinion, of sort of like Italian genre films, and that is Dario Argento's Deep Red. So this is, in my opinion, the crowning achievement of the 70s giallo period. Dario Argento made some incredible films during the 70s, like Suspiria and The Bird with the Crystal Plumage, and this is just an incredible and perfect example of what the genre can offer. It's a murder mystery type film with like a masked black leather gloved killer. So it sort of has the tropes of the genre and of the films in the genre, and it's just incredible. There's lots of entertaining death sequences, and like the who the murderer is really keeps you guessing up until the end reveal, and it's just exquisite. It has fantastic music in it as well, which has to be said for pretty much all of Dario Argento's films. He has such great music in them, and I can't recommend this enough. If you want to sort of delve into the giallo genre, or if you've never seen a giallo film, check out Deep Red. It's sure to impress you, and yeah, it's one of the reasons why I think 1975 is one of the greatest years for cinema. Next up is a film I've only seen fairly recently, actually, and it's also by one of my favourite directors. His name is Andrei Tarkovsky, and it's his film Mirror, obviously from 1975. Now this film is extremely difficult to describe. It's basically an assortment of dreams and memories and poetry recital and yeah, like dream sequences and things all mashed together to sort of form a mosaic or a pastiche of a man's life. So this man is sort of like dying on, he's like on his deathbed basically, and he's recalling various things from his life, but it's very abstract. But I love this film so much. On first viewing, I watched it again a few days later because I was that impressed, and that is something I very, very rarely do. And on the second viewing, I loved it even more, and it instantly shot into my top 10 favourite films ever. And I can't speak highly enough of this. It won't be for everyone, but if you can let the vibe or the tone of the film wash over you, and just not expect too much from narrative but more of tone and feeling, then this can be extremely rewarding. And I absolutely adore the ending of this film. It's extremely poetic and very thought-provoking, at least in my opinion. And it came out in 1975, so another reason why 1975 is one of the greatest years for cinema. Next up is one of my very favourite musicals. In fact, it probably is my favourite musical, and it's a cult film that a lot of people are aware of, whether they like it or not, and that is the Rocky Horror Picture Show, directed by Jim Sharman. This is a fantastic steelbook edition, and I love this film. If you've seen this film and you like it, you don't need to tell me why. I don't need to tell you why this film is incredible. It has great music. It's like a really awesome sort of parody, but also homage to like horror and science fiction B movies from like the 30s up until like the 50s and 60s. And the songs are just incredibly memorable, and the performances, particularly Tim Curry as Frankenfurter, is just iconic. And yeah, this film has a very dedicated fan base, and I truly adore this film. And yeah, it came out in 1975, so it's part of one of the greatest years in cinema of all time. So, and lastly, my favourite film from 1975 is also a bit of a musical, but not in the sort of classical sense of how you would describe a musical film. I'm talking about Robert Altman's Nashville. So this is an incredibly epic sort of ensemble musical, but not quite a musical. There's a lot of like live singing from the cast in this film, and a lot of the cast wrote their own songs for this film. And yeah, it's just a beautiful portrayal of American life during a time of like political unrest and like political change. It's set during like a voting campaign, an election campaign, I should say. And it's just amazing. It gets better every time I watch it. If you want to see some really great, I have to say, the songs in this film are like country type songs. That is a genre I don't typically listen to. In fact, I don't really listen to country at all. But the songs in this film are country based, but they do sort of transcend that genre of music. And yeah, it's just incredible. And yeah, it's my favorite film from 1975, and the main reason why I think that 1975 is the greatest year for cinema. So just a couple of honourable mentions as to why 1975 is the greatest year for cinema. How could you not include films such as Jaws by Spielberg? Don't need to say any more about that, but Jaws is absolutely incredible. Also a film that's not talked about as much by as many people, but is also why I think 75 is the best year. And it's an Australian production by Peter Weir, and it's Picnic at Hanging Rock. So this is a great dreamy mystery film about some girls that go missing on a school trip sort of thing, and it's really, really good. Really awesome tone to this film. 75 as well, obviously. And then lastly, a film that won a ton of Oscars in 75, and that is Milos Forman's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, starring Jack Nicholson in one of his greatest roles. Don't really need to say much more about this one either. It's a legendary film that I'm sure a lot of people have seen, and if you haven't, just watch it. I'm sure you'll be thoroughly entertained and enjoy this one. It's also quite moving. So those are my reasons why I think 1975 is the greatest year for cinema. So I'd be really intrigued to hear what your thoughts are on my picks for the year, and what also are your favourite years for cinema, and what are your favourite films from those years. So if you like this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to my channel. And yeah, so until next time everyone, take care.